I just thought about that too.
Speaking of the bus tour, are either the map or the PowerPoint going to be on the city website?
That's a good question. I don't know about the PowerPoint. I'm not sure about the
Maybe
map
just the
either.
bus tour map?
Yeah.
Because it has, you know, really good, she's waving at us.
Well, good evening. I'd like to call to order the October 17th, 2022 meeting of the Environmental Management Commission for the City of Oakdale. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next up is roll call. Commissioner Wilson.
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown. Here. And we are joined tonight by Shannon, our liaison with the City of Oakdale. First item on the agenda, we have meeting minutes from our September 19th, 2022 meeting. I'll give everybody a minute to source those. Are there any changes or amendments that would like to be proposed to the September meeting minutes? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the September 19th, 2022 meeting minutes of the Oakdale Environmental Management Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Great, I have a second. All in favor of approving the September 19th, 2022 minutes of the Environmental Management Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. Meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. All right, it looks like for our first item on the agenda is old business for tonight, and we're going to be talking through, working through, speaking through the Oakdale's draft 2023 Environmental Management Commission work plan. I believe Ms. Reidlinger had prepared a memo and can begin that process for us.
Yeah, so this is sort of old new business. At the last meeting, Chair Miller brought up that we typically draft and create a work plan for the coming year and then approve that plan at the November meeting for the EMC. So he had encouraged you guys last meeting to think a little bit more about what you would like to see in the draft 2023 EMC work plan. This memo, at least the memo itself, is pretty much a replica of that memo that was included in the October packet. It just kind of provides a little bit of background about the purpose of the 2023 work plan. It indicates some resources that the EMC typically considers when drafting its work plan. And those resources are attached to the rest of the memo. So on the very next page, you'll see I've created a draft 2023 work plan that mostly takes stuff that we had done in a previous iteration of the work plan and replicates it for next year. So you'll see that some of the action items from the 2021 EV community or EV-ready community study are included in the 2023 work plan. There are some ongoing things like the Washington County Recycling Grant. There's indication of completing the bike and pedestrian plan that was on last year's plan. We'll continue it on for next year. And then reporting out for the Green Step Cities annual step designation process. That's something that continued on from last year's plan. But the rest of the draft can change. Actually, all of the draft can change based on your conversation now and what you would like to see in it. The other attachments that I've included for your reference are this year's 2022 draft or 2022 finalized work plan. This was the work plan that went before council at the beginning of this year and which they showed support for. The other attachments are Chapter 8 of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan. So this is the resiliency chapter. These are the goals and policies that very much shape each iteration of the EMC's work plan. These are the types of things that you can pull from in order to determine what you would like to focus on in the coming year. And the very last attachment is a summary of the Green Step Cities 29 best practices. These are focus areas for the Green Step Cities program where if cities make forward movement on any one of these focus areas, that helps them achieve their STEP designation as part of the program. I've gone in here and highlighted in green the steps that the city of Oakdale has already made progress on, just so that you know some of the things that the city has worked on in the past. This doesn't mean that we can't take one of these best practices that's in green and put it on the 2023 draft work plan to say that the commission would like to continue to work on that, but it's just an indication to let you know that there are some steps and actions that have been taken with these particular best practices. So those are the materials that have been attached for you to help you think through and have this discussion, and I would leave it up to Vice Chair Girding to kick off the rest of the conversation.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, before I invite the space for conversation, I just want to reflect that I think 2022's work plan, the big theme we've noticed in this is a lot surrounding energy conservation and consumption. And so as we think about this conversation that we can have together and maybe some potential intersections for a theme or a lens to 2023, just tabling that thought, like that could be something that we continue into 2023 as having a theme to our goals and initiatives. So with that, commission members.
Well, I noticed that in smaller area, it talks about promoting Xcel Energy rebate programs, wind source, community and solar rewards, PACE, and then later on, host a Cub Bill Clinic and provide information about energy assistance programs and energy auditing. And I would really like to see these emphasized because with our economy being so uncertain, I think we can really help the citizens of Oakdale by educating them, as we have tried in the past, more about how they can save on their energy bills, why it's useful to look at some of these other energy sources, and maybe a little less emphasis on buying more stuff, because I think it's going to be harder for our constituents to work through that this next year.
Yeah, thank you. Those are great points. May I ask for a clarification? When you invite buying, are we meaning the physical, like,
Well, I'm thinking
solar
about
panel,
the
or what are you-
solar power hour, which is a wonderful thing. But at the very same time, and I know we've done this in the past, we want to emphasize how they can save money, not necessarily by solar, but by other ways, and also explain more about the solar wind source, or excuse me, not solar, the wind source program, and the solar rewards and things that would help people save money.
Got it, thank you. Yeah, great. Not to put you on the spot because this is a conversation, but Commissioner Brown, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that idea too about like being able to invite the community for, yeah, looking into stuff that helps them with taxes possibly as well, like doing tax rebates or, yeah, initiatives.
And a lot of, thank you, and a lot of this, that we're touching on right now it feels like a next level depth, like for what we did in 2022, and we take that a step further and really talk more about accessing things that are already there that they can take advantage of. And then, to your point, Commissioner Brown, continuing on the education play, essentially. So, yeah. Other things that resonated with you from last year to proposing for this year?
I know we've talked about promoting solar with businesses, and we haven't had a lot of activity or a lot of success with that. But on the commission bus tour that we went on, there are 2 huge solar arrays on top of 2 businesses in Oakdale. And I'd like to see maybe an effort to promote commercial use of solar by using those as 2 really good examples. And I don't know, maybe even scheduling a tour or something of, maybe it would have to be a drone tour, but anyway, somehow getting the other businesses to understand that there's that investment already in Oakdale, and we're really proud of it.
That's great. Well, I don't want to steal your thunder from the bus tour recap, if you're so willing, later. Where were those businesses? Or
It's
who were they?
HOM,
Oh,
and the, I don't always get the name right, but the Animal Referral Clinic, is
Yeah.
that the correct name?
oh, the
Yeah,
emergency.
their new clinic.
Yeah.
Oh, the new clinic across the street will have, or has solar.
Yep, it
Wonderful.
has.
Other things surrounding electric, solar, alternative energy? One of the other areas I think that really, I was going to say shined through from our work last year was really surrounding environmental management, also the name of the commission, which we know extends to other avenues beyond solar and renewable energy. So as I think of even looking at one of the Green Step best practices surrounding sustaining the ecological function of local water bodies, our work with Adopt a Drain comes to mind. And so I would wonder how the commission would feel about having another step to look at for 2023 surrounding, aligning both our work plan, but also taking it one step deeper on the environmental side, the physical environmental side, to look at watershed quality, runoff, surface water. Anybody has any thoughts around that?
So like do like a quality test of our watershed like every few months then? Something along the lines of that?
That could be one thing. Potentially looking at what are the things that we're already doing that support, for example, number 19 in the surface water on page 2 of the Green Step best practices. And so, yeah, maybe having some sort of baseline assessment done, and then talking about what would it look like in the future to create some plans surrounding continued. And of course, there's city staff that would be available to help with that. But yeah, that's one good idea. And Commissioner Wilson, to your point too, I know that from a residential standpoint, there are a lot of different programs out there that are available. When you had talked about the potential cost barriers for our residents to access some of these programs, there are little to no cost barriers from a reimbursement standpoint to do residential either mitigation or soil samples or infiltration tests at the home. And then partners of Oakdale's will help residents look at different types of grant programs and reimbursement programs so that they can invest in their property and also, as this says, sustain ecological function of local water bodies. So maybe that's another continuation of the education avenue we can go down for 2023 in terms of programs that are available to our homeowners and businesses. Other ideas or thoughts? May I pose a question for you, Shannon? Looking at the 2022 approved plan and Chapter 8, Goal 1, Policy 2, I think Commissioner Wilson, you said the bill clinics. How have those felt, just collectively? And are those things that we should continue?
Yeah, I haven't actually been part of any of the bill clinics that have happened in the past, just because I wasn't here at the time. I know that they went on hold when the pandemic started up, and I believe, I would have to confirm this. My understanding is that they do virtual options and had been doing virtual options during the pandemic. I'm not sure if in-person has started up again.
Okay.
So it's not something that we've been able to coordinate just because of pandemic-related things in the past, but I think that is much more viable next year if that's something that's of interest.
Yeah, thank you. I think, something tactical that we have done in the past as we emerge from whatever state this world is going to be in, using technology and to support Commissioner Wilson's point about bringing the education to our residents and businesses, that could be something that we may want to revise or refine for 2023 also.
And I believe Washington County still has grants for some of the things under Chapter 8, Goal 2, Policy 4, Promote Water Conservation. You have a really nice list of things that are noted for water conservation, but I believe Washington County offers some grants for some of those.
Yeah, the watershed district certainly does.
Or maybe that's what I'm thinking
yep.
of. So we could promote that as well if we had, I don't know, like a little save money fair or something where people could learn about programs either where they would get grants or learn about how to conserve their home energy or getting the energy audit or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's, I'm hearing a theme here, but is education and outreach. And I think there's a wide variety of programs and resources available to businesses and residents surrounding that piece. And I think a lot of them take into account existing structures in terms of what does it look like and things that would augment or complement what's already there without having to construct or dig, right, or do a huge infiltration analysis first. So I think I think that would be a great thing to identify, like, and in what phase people could think about doing it, from low cost to no cost to more of a strategy long term. That's good. Any other themes or areas jump out?
Well, we certainly want to complete the bike and pedestrian plan. I mean, it only takes up 4 words, but we really have to do it.
So we're keeping that in, is what
Yes,
you're saying,
please.
Commissioner. Good. Shannon, would you remind us again what I made a note and I couldn't remember what the Soul Smart certification process, high level is again?
Yeah, so the concept of Soul Smart is a designation that indicates whether cities are solar ready, essentially. So the process looks actually kind of similar to Green Step cities in that there are certain actions that you can take in order to achieve specific designations or benchmarks. Some of those actions happen at more of the administrative level, so it's changing your ordinances to help remove barriers to solar. Some of that is maybe encouraging specific programs or putting out solar on city-owned facilities, that sort of a thing. But SoulSmart has an entire list of actions that can be completed. And there are, I think, 3 designation levels: bronze, silver, and gold.
Thank you. Yeah. And do we have an idea as a city at what point municipalities would go for that kind of certification? Like what would need to be in place before they start? Because that's a big lift.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more about whether or not achieving that sort of designation status is in line with where the city is trying to go, or I guess the goals that it has on an annual basis. So I think putting it in the 2023 EMC work plan, what we would do is more say that the target is to research the designation a little bit more and to understand whether or not this dovetails nicely with what the city is currently doing. If it is something where we're seeing a lot of businesses like Home Furniture or the Animal Emergency Referral Center putting up solar arrays, and that's kind of encouraging other businesses to ask the question. If we're seeing a lot more permits coming in through building inspection for solar panels, then maybe that is kind of a leading indicator to let us know that there's interest within our residential and commercial population. But until then, it probably makes more sense just to research what designation actually means and what kind of steps we would need to take. And honestly, what we've already done, because we might have done some of the actions to achieve designation in the first place.
Okay. Thank you. Any other 2023 ideas?
Does it mention anything about the tree, oh dear, I'm sorry, tree canopy? I see that's under goal 2 in the 2040 plan, and I'm just wondering if the tree canopy, I've seen it before in the, I don't know if it was in the plan or if it was in a review or something, but, I mean, we have a pretty good tree canopy. Is that something we need to list and work on, or is it more in the way of, we have a really good tree canopy?
I think that the question I would ask is, what is the tree board doing right now that kind of takes that policy and runs with it?
Okay.
And what would the EMC be a little bit more, not in control of, but what would we have more of a purview over when it comes to the tree canopy? So I can follow up and ask the question of our forester and of Nick too, since he's the tree board chair, just to ask what all are you guys doing and where could the EMC potentially either come alongside or sort of take responsibility for certain elements.
Any other ideas, comments? And again, this is just a planning, so no pressure to think of everything right now.
To that point, I've been taking notes, and my goal will be to take this draft that we have, incorporate the comments that I've heard today, kind of synthesize some things, tighten some things up, and then I will bring this back to you all in our November meeting, and that's when you'll have the final opportunity to make any kind of last-minute adjustments or edits. I'll probably ask the EMC at that point to vote to support the draft 2023 work plan, and then that will be taken to council for just a, they don't like say yes or no to the whole thing, but it gives them the opportunity to see what the EMC is focusing on and provide their feedback to sort of tighten up the draft itself.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, commissioners. Well, moving on to new business, we have the monthly review of the 2022 Environmental Management Commission Editorial Calendar. Open it up for comment and reflection and just an observation, I haven't been stalking, but I have been following on all channels. You definitely have more bandwidth for communications now. It's very clear, so just saying that out loud.
Yeah,
It's noticed. It's great.
yeah, I would agree. It's much better.
Is there any progress in the food scraps drop-off program, whereas, where Washington County would do something closer to our home?
Yeah, so the county is coordinating with Ramsey County to do a food scraps pickup program. The idea being that residents would be able to have very specific compostable bags that they would put their organic food waste into, and then those bags would go into trash bags. And then your hauler would pick up the trash bags as normal, and these very, very cool robots at our energy center in Newport will pick out those very special compost bags and discard the compost that way. So Washington and Ramsey counties have already built out that system. I got to take a tour of the facility and see the robots, and they're very, very cool. But because this is such a novel concept, something that not many places around the country even have tried, the counties are being very intentional about how they roll out the process. So my understanding is that Oakdale will be part of the rollout sometime in probably 2024. They're going to be piloting this particular idea in very specific other communities first, just to see how it actually plays out, to give the robot something to test with, and then we'll be rolling it out effectively once it once they have proof of concept, essentially. Mm-hmm.
What? Robots?
I know. It's really cool. And until then, we will continue to promote the reality that there is still the drop-off program, that you can still go to 3 different locations, Woodbury, Matamidi, and Hugo, to drop off your organic waste.
And where do we drop our pumpkins?
Yes, so that's something that we're also working on trying to pull together and pilot. The county had done a pumpkin drop-off last year, and I don't know exactly where, and they're trying to bring the concept to a couple different locations. So I've expressed interest in having Oakdale be one of those pilot locations. We're working out the logistics. If it doesn't happen this year, then I'm going to try and make it happen again next year.
And those, Commissioner Wilson, would be for pumpkins that are not already ravaged by deer. is what
Or
you're-
squirrels?
Or squirrels. Squirrels love them.
Will we have Christmas light recycling?
Christmas light recycling?
Yeah, under December, Christmas lights, recycling.
Yeah, so I think the goal is to try and provide educational resources for residents to know where they can drop off their Christmas tree lights. A lot of people will put them into the recycling bin or into their trash, and they don't really belong in either one of those curbside options. They kind of gunk up the system, but there are places that will accept Christmas tree lights, and so we just need to educate our residents to the theme of 2023 about what they can actually do with them.
That would be great.
Acknowledging staff capacity, this one might be an idea for 2023. Lost track of my years for a minute.
I know.
Forgive me. Testimonials from businesses. Do we have a arsenal of content or things we can pull from businesses that are either doing, like in business recycling, or even going back to the solar thing about?
Yeah, so that's one of the projects that we had applied for with our 2022 recycling grant from
grant.
Washington County, and that's one that I'm actually kind of shifting gears to focus on in the last couple of months of 2022. So I've asked for an updated list of all of the businesses that participate in biz recycling. I know that we had a good handful, at least 15, that asked for a consultation from biz recycling just last year, and 3 that applied for and received a grant for a project. So that happened very, very recently, and I think that would provide good fodder for testimony.
Great. Other thoughts on the editorial calendar? All right, thank you. Hearing none, we can move on to the next item. Just a general updates from anybody that would like to share experiences, things that are happening, commissioner updates.
Well, I was on the development bus tour on October 4th.
Thank you.
And it was a real eye-opener. We went from North Oakdale to South Oakdale. I'd never been where the Gold Line is going to go, so it was really helpful to understand what is going to happen there. They pointed out buildings that are to be that I had no idea about. So it was really, really helpful, and I encourage more transparency, maybe on the website, for future development, even if it's not totally secured. It was just so encouraging to see what's all in the minds of either the Economic Development Commission or the Planning Commission. You know, like I say, it isn't all solid information that we know is going to happen. Most of it was, but some of the ones that are still speculative were just fascinating. So that whole experience, I think, should be shared by more people. It's really good. And Shannon pointed out all of the environmental aspects that she possibly could.
I tried. It wasn't nearly as cool as buildings going up in a lot of ways, but yes, I did talk about the solar arrays and a couple of stormwater projects.
And the Hy-Vee,
Yep,
you know,
the charging stations at
Yeah.
Hy-Vee, the bike and ped plan, made sure to do a shout out for that one.
Often, I personally think the things that are more fascinating are never seen, so just saying. Thank you. Yeah.
sure.
Other updates? No? All right.
I am not a commissioner, but if I could just remind the commission very quickly that our bike and ped open house is on Wednesday of this week at the Discovery Center. So you are all more than welcome to come, or if you are not able to come, please tell your friends and your family to come and share their thoughts. Anyone who lives or works in Oakdale can absolutely come and tell us what they think about bicycling and walking in the city. And in case you can't come, there is still an online survey. It's a questionnaire that both Commissioner Girding and Commissioner Wilson got the chance to try out last EMC meeting. And there is a wiki map, so individuals can draw on the map anywhere in Oakdale where they would like to see better bicycling and walking paths or any bicycling and walking paths. So just a shout out to do all of those things.
Thank you. And can you remind us of the time on Wednesday?
Yeah, it's 5 to 7.
Thank you. Great. Well, if there is nothing else for discussion, I will share that the next meeting is scheduled for November 21st at 7 p.m. here in City Council chambers. And I would also look for a move to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right. All in favor of adjourning the October 17th, 2022 meeting of the Environmental Management Commission, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Great. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.